Hi everyone, I'm back to do part two as I promised. So family, this is just leading on from the word that the Lord gave us about how much He wants us to be set free and how important it is to realize that we were imprisoned by sin until we accepted the sacrifice of Jesus, and the covering of His blood has set us free. And I just want to go quickly over that verse that I read earlier, John 8:34 to 36, because in that verse it speaks of abiding in the house, and this is relevant to the next part of the visions that I want to share with you. So I'm just going to read that again. Jesus answered them, "Most assuredly I say unto you, whoever commits sin is a slave of sin. And a slave does not abide in the house forever, but a son abides forever." And then it says those words, "Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you are free indeed." But what I want to concentrate on now is abiding in the house forever. So that on the 17th of August, which wasn't very long after I received those initial words, I wrote down, "I will abide in the shelter of the Most High, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." So the Lord wants us now to think about abiding in the house, and we've already talked about how once we've accepted Jesus as our Saviour, we become His sons and daughters, and then we have the right to abide in the house of the Lord forever. And those verses come from Psalms, and I'll just have a little look at those. So many of you will know Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd." So I'm just going to read verse 6, and it says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." So I'm just going to skip through a few really interesting visions and words I was given just after those ones I've just shared. And on Monday, the 5th of August 2019, I heard some interesting words and wrote them down in the night. And they were given to me together. And the first one was a bag of manna. And we know that manna is the food that the Lord gave from heaven to the Israelites when they were trapped in the desert for, I think it was 40 years. So I heard a bag of manna, and then I heard these words: "Things waiting ready for us." So, sorry, brothers and sisters, I'm so hoarse and not very well today. But anyway, so when I heard a bag of manna and things waiting ready for us, the picture I had in my mind was the Lord providing us the things that we need for a journey. A bag of manna, it's like sustenance for a journey, isn't it? You can imagine your lunch in a paper bag. And so that made me think of the journey that we will take, the bride of Christ, when we go to be with Him. So once again, the things I heard was a bag of manna and things waiting ready for us. And I just thought, just to remind us of what manna is, I'm going to go to Psalm 78. So this is Psalm 78, and it's speaking of the things that the Lord did to provide for the people of Israel when they were in the desert. Okay, and it said here, in verse 23, "But He spoke to the sky above and commanded its doors to open, and He gave them grain from heaven by sending down manna for them to eat. So they ate the food of angels, and God gave them all they wanted." So I think the main point of this little snippet that He gave me that night was that He is going to provide for our needs. So the next little vision that I received was on the 5th of the 8th, 2019, and it was just a flash vision, and it was of a house with a driveway that went up by the front door. And it was actually my own home, but this is not a photo of my own home. And it was as if I was watching from a distance and overhearing things. So it was as if I was looking outside and I could see, I think it was my husband, and the man that I have seen in a few of my visions that seems to represent Jesus. And they were talking in the driveway, and there was a vehicle there. And the things that I heard were they were discussing things happening in the next few weeks. And then I heard the words coming soon. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm not saying that the Lord is coming in the next few weeks. I'm just saying that it was as if the Lord was just discussing the things that are about to happen and reminding my husband, who I was observing, reminding him that he was coming soon. So that was just an interesting little snippet of a vision that I saw and the words that I heard. Just the Lord, I think, reminding us not to give up hoping for his coming in the imminent future. Whether the Lord's timing is in the next year or several years away, we don't know. But he doesn't want us to forget that he's coming soon. This is a constant thing that keeps coming up in my dreams and visions, that he does not want us to give up the faith and to stop watching and waiting for his return. And finally, brothers and sisters, and this is really just so lovely, I woke up at 2 in the morning that same night, and just as I was sitting up on the side of the bed, I had a flash vision of a mansion. Now, it didn't look exactly like this, but it was large, and I would say it was probably about 3 levels high, as this one was. And the other similarity was that every light in the building was on. And the reason I knew it was a heavenly home was the light from the windows caused the house to glow the most amazing golden light. So the whole home was bright gold. And I knew when I saw that vision that the Lord was showing me one of the many mansions, or it was depicting the Father's house. And that made me think of these scriptures. So, of course, brothers and sisters, I went to John 14, verse 1, and these are the verses that Jesus spoke. Do not be worried and upset, Jesus told them. Believe in God and believe also in me. There are many rooms in my Father's house, and I am going to prepare a place for you. I would not tell you this if it were not so. And after I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to myself, so that you will be where I am. You know the way that leads to the place where I am going. And I thought that last verse 4, you know the way that leads to that place where I am going, it really speaks of what we've just been speaking to about in the last video. The way that leads to being the sons and daughters of the Lord and being able to dwell in the house of the Lord forever is by accepting the sacrifice that Jesus gave when he shed his blood for us. So can you see, brothers and sisters, how this all links together? That he wants to remind us that to be part of his family, we must just have faith to believe in God and in Jesus. Just as in verse 1 says, believe in God and believe also in me. And then he's reminding us of the many rooms in his Father's house. And so he gave me that glorious picture of the big mansion with lights on in every room. And just to finish with, the other thing I thought of when I saw all the lights on in the house was usually in a big mansion, the people that live there may only occupy 1 or 2 rooms in the house, or maybe half a dozen. So you wouldn't normally see all the lights on in the mansion. So when I saw all the lights on, I thought, wow, the Lord is saying possibly that the house is being lit because it's ready for guests. You can just imagine a huge banquet happening in a mansion and how they have all the guests coming to stay. And so they light the house up and they clean all the rooms and they prepare the banquet. So brothers and sisters, it's a little bit like the picture that he gave us with the bag of manna and saying that everything was ready and waiting for us. And then he shows us the picture of the mansion with all the lights on in the house as if awaiting the guests. So I just found that really encouraging, and I hope that's encouraging for you too. And so I just have that little bit more stamina to keep watching and waiting like the 10 wise virgins, always praying that my lamp will be lit and that I'll have plenty of oil as I wait for the Lord. So I pray God's blessing on you all, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.